Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. So today was a blast. Today was the first day that you could play Goblin versus Gnomes outside of Arena. You could play in Constructed, you can buy packs, kind of, and a lot of people did. And I want to tell you guys in the video today my experiences with that, all the things that I saw, all the decks that I made, and kind of how they went, my opinion of overall where Constructed and generally the game is going. Now, I know I'm not the biggest constructed player, but when there are a lot of new cards, everything's changed. I really like to make just crazy decks and explore new combos. Now, the downside to that is not too many people, well, probably a lot of people, but not too many people that I encountered in ladder at least were playing with new cards. They were playing the same old very lame Zoo Warlock and Death Rattle Hunter. So it made deck experimentation a little bit difficult because those decks absolutely stomp decks that are anything but very quick. So the very slow decks, the combo decks that aren't very finely tuned just get shut out, so you basically can't play a lot of the cool cards introduced in the expansion because of that, and well, that's a little bit lame. But I think things will change, though maybe not too radically, as so far my initial impressions are that Hunter is going to be the best class after the Goblin versus Gnome changes. So let's get to it. So first things first, I ended up buying 250 packs. I bought like 240 of them with the 60 times pack thing, and then I got like another 10 with my gold. And I think is actually overdoing it a little bit. I wanted to just get all the cards and play around with them and not have to be spending too much of the dust. So I did that. But I think in the last set of 60, I really didn't gain too much. I think because the set is smaller, you can probably get away with like, 100, maybe 150 packs just to pretty much get all the stuff that you actually are going to be playing. There's a lot of pretty bad cards, but yeah, we're not going to get into those today. So, the goodies. I made quite a few decks after... in terms of the pack openings, I know a lot of you guys were hoping to see like a YouTube video of me opening packs, but I decided that's not actually real content, and it's pretty much bullshit. So, there's a VOD of it on Twitch. I'll just link it to you guys in the description if you want to see me open all those pack arenas, along with a few other hilarious stuff and Mumble Bros in the background. You guys are welcome to do so. I will not make a YouTube video out of it, but I will make a video out of all the decks that I made and all the cool combos that I thought of. So, the first thing is, the first idea that came to my mind when I saw the Shaman cards was Ancestor's Call. And I wanted to make a deck that just had so much removal, because Shaman already has very efficient removal. They can stay in the game just with totems and just with removal a fairly long time. And I wanted to just have some really big creatures, so I could basically Ancestral's Call it like a Malagos, and then play like a Lightning Storm and wipe the board, and whatever he would get wouldn't really matter, or like a Ysera or a Ragnaros, that kind of stuff. So I made a deck with that, and that deck was by far the worst one, and I deleted it because it really sucked. So you guys are not going to see that deck today, but I do have the other decks for you guys, and we're going to start reviewing them now. So the other one that I made is a Druid deck. I made a Milled Druid. I made a Milled Druid because some of the new cards introduced kind of reinforce this idea. So the first is like Explosive Sheep. Explosive Sheep offers Druid like a 2 damage clear in the early game. You don't have to put in Starfall, which is pretty much too slow for Constructed these days in your deck, to do 2 damage to everything. You don't have to wait for like a spell damage swipe. So because of that, you can kind of get away with playing slower decks, or decks that kind of have like a theme, like this one. And you also have the Grove Tender, which is both players basically draw 1 card for 3, so it's kind of like a Cold Light Oracle, but it's a 2/4. 2/4 is much more resilient than a 2/2, so overall I'd actually say it's much better than a Cold Light Oracle in terms of a card, but in terms of the deck, the Cold Light Oracle does draw more cards out of your opponent's deck. And yes, the idea is you force your opponent to fill up his hand constantly to discard his deck while you can play a little bit more. The deck I think is fairly well balanced, but of course none of these are very finely tuned. I just one-shotted these and played them a little bit. This deck did pretty well. Another notable mechanics to fill up your opponent's hand. Mechanical Yeti was a new addition, so when he dies, he adds a spare part to each player's hand, and it's usually a pretty resilient creature. When you play it in the early game, it's usually you that decides when you want to kill it off. So for instance, if your opponent has like 7 cards, you can choose to kill off your Yeti and then play a Cold Light, and then they discard their next card or something like that. And also, a very powerful card in this type of themed deck is the Clockwork Giant. The Clockwork Giant is basically the opposite of a Mountain Giant, so it's a 12 mana 8/8, but it costs 1 less for every card in your opponent's hand. And if your theme is to constantly build that up, well, you can play him very cheaply. In fact, I think just about every time I played him, he was 3 or less mana. So 3 mana 8/8 in the kind of game where the mana efficiency is very, very, very important. It's a great card because if you're spending 3 mana for an 8/8, if it gets big gamed, well, it's still not really that bad. So there's that. So this deck did pretty well. I'd give it like 6 out of 10. I mean, it won more games than it lost, but not too much. I didn't really get to test it much on ladder. I mostly played it against friends. Next deck is the Steel Priest. So this deck has the theme of stealing crap and getting really good value from your Shadow Manas, because a lot of people play like very annoying early game cards. So to make that work, I have the Recombobulator, I have the Shrinkmeister. So Shrinkmeister lets you Shadow Manas a card that doesn't technically have 3 or less attack to begin with, and Recombobulator makes it so when you do Shadow Manas the card, you can choose to keep it in a different form. So you can, as I explained in yesterday's Recombobulator video, as Recombobulator is my new favorite card in the GvG Hearthstone set, you can take something that has 4 attack by shrinking it to 2, then Shadow Manasing it, do whatever you want, recombobulate it, play for keepsies. So that was the theme. This is the deck. It works pretty well. I do have to say that when I played against a very similar deck to this one on ladder, I pretty much shut it out with every single other deck that I had. Even though when you really look at the cards, it seems that Priest would be really strong. For some reason, it just got stomped. So it might have to do with the fine-tuning of the cards, because the cards do seem very strong. But I didn't play this deck on ladder. I played against friends. I had great success against friends. But when I played against it on ladder, it seemed pretty dismal. So I don't know. I'd give this one a 6 as well. But a few other notable cards. We have the Dr. Boom, which is a 7 for a 7/7. It's basically like a 7 mana card is a good target for Recombobulate. You can get some pretty cool stuff. And the little bombs are very nice value. Just having a little bit of random damage is just pretty cool. It's just overall very, very solid card. And I'd rather play like a 7-drop than a Ragnaros for the 8. Other than that, the deck is not too impressive. Oh, it's got Vol'jin. Vol'jin is pretty cool. It's one of the better cards released in GvG, and that's pretty much the reason why I have the Holy Smite in there. So you can do a Vol'jin Holy Smite combo for 6 mana, basically remove any creature off the board, and play a reasonably sized minion. Vol'jin didn't really hit too many big targets, but I'd imagine in normal constructed play, if it gets into like a very controlling meta, it's going to be one of the best cards out there. And then I made a Paladin deck. So I did say how Paladin might be dead or Reno, but this deck actually did very well. I think I played this deck about the most, maybe as much as what you guys will soon see, the Hunter deck. And I had quite a lot of luck with it. It was a little bit difficult. I had to make some adjustments with the deck, but overall I think I have it in a pretty nice spot. I was winning most of my games, and I was beating a lot of the cancerous crap, a lot of the old Hunter, a lot of the old Zoolock, a lot of the decks that make constructed not very fun at all. This does pretty well against that, so that's a pretty good thing. Now there are some few odd cards. I'm going to explain them again. So I do have Youthful Brewmasters because there's a lot of battle cries in there. I do have Recombobulators because I have some fun 7-drops. So the Guardian of Kings, when you recombobulate that, it's pretty much always going to be upgraded, along with the Bomb Lobber, which is a 5 mana 3/3 that kills off something for less health on your opponent's side of the board, and you can recombobulate that. There are very, very, very few 5-drops that have worse stats than 3/3. Another one that's pretty much in there is a Quartermaster. It's a 2/5 that bumps up all your little recruits. I had 2 of this card to begin with, but then I realized that it's just a dead card most of the time, so I dropped it to 1. But it works very well with Muster for Battle. Muster for Battle is a great card against that cancerous bullshit, and that's why I have the Captain Greenskin in there, because Captain Greenskin, when you bump up your 1/4 weapon to a 2/5, it's suddenly very, very useful. There's a lot of creatures in the current meta that do have 2 health. A lot of them do have 1 as well, but usually the 1 health creatures get played first. You get a couple of hits off with your Muster for Battle weapon off of those, and then you bump it to 2, and then suddenly you kill most of the rest of the deck out of there. And also to deal with a lot of the cancerous bullshit, you have the Scarlet Purifier. I also thought this card was a little bit weak, but in practice, because everyone's still playing the Death Rattle crap, it does very, very well. 2 damage battle cry to all minions that have Death Rattle. In the deck, the only minions that have Death Rattle are the ones summoned by Dr. Boom. And you have some additional synergy in this deck from the Sea Giant and Dr. Boom, because Dr. Boom summons basically 3 minions for 7 mana. Muster for Battle summons 3 minions for 3 mana. So I thought Sea Giant was a great pick, and also Sea Giant works with Recombobulator. When you Recombobulator a Sea Giant, you're going to get another Sea Giant or a Deathwing, which is a little bit of an upgrade. So overall, the deck is really, really strong, not because of any particular reason, but because there's a lot of just synergies between the cards, and you very rarely have a dead hand, and it does pretty well against the current meta. And it's Paladin, so that's pretty sweet. Give this deck a 8 out of 10. And I have the Pirates Rogue. The Pirates Rogue did very well as well. It was one of the decks that did extremely well against other slow decks. So whenever I played against like Priest, that kind of stuff, it was just a blowout. But whenever I played against like Hunter with the Undertaker opener, I got pretty stomped. So I don't know. I think there's some potential for rogue pirate decks. There are some new additions to the pirate arsenal, and the main reason why it can work is the ship's cannon. The ship's cannon is a ridiculous card if you're playing pirates. It's basically a juiced up knife juggler that just clobbers stuff, and some players play around it by killing it. Like I play this on like turn 2 and then it gets like swiped, so that's happened a few times. But people that ignore it get absolutely murdered. So it might be one of those decks that just takes you by surprise a little bit. The tempo possibility in this deck is out of control. And among that ship's cannon, the main other notable addition is the One-Eyed Cheat, which is a 4/1 pirate, and whenever you play another pirate, he gains stealth. The way that I played this deck is pretty much like you stall the game in the early game. You do have some creatures to do that, more so than a Miracle Rogue, and Miracle Rogues are pretty successful at stalling out the game. And you stall it up to the point where you can play Ship's Cannon and several other pirates in the same turn. So you could do like Ship's Cannon into One-Eyed Cheat into like a South Sea Deckhand, and that would pretty much, nuke whatever's on the opponent's side of the board for a total of 4, and you gain stealth on your One-Eyed Cheat. And it's actually pretty easy to constantly stealth up your One-Eyed Cheat. So you have pretty much a 4/1 that's stealthed every single turn, even though you're attacking with it. And because of that, it worked out pretty well. I also included the legendary Trade Prince Gallowix. This guy didn't see much play. The play that he did see is I played him against the Shaman. He was hexed immediately, and then I got to hex something as a rogue, which is pretty cool, but I ended up dying because it was Murlocs. I give this deck about a 7 out of 10. Some potential. I think this is one of those decks that with enough tuning, it might actually be very competitive. Then I made a Demon Lock. I did not play a single game with this deck because I basically wanted to make a deck that uses Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis is a really powerful card. I wanted to combo him with Void Caller, and there's a few other synergy things that I want to take advantage of, such as Mal'Ganis works with Implosion, so you deal damage and you spawn a bunch of imps, and those imps are 3/3s because, well, you got Mal'Ganis. And more synergy with Implosion is Knife Juggler. You have Knife Juggler, you Implosion something, you pop a bunch of imps, and those imps spawn a bunch of juggles. So I try to work with some cross-synergy stuff, but I thought the only way I was really going to survive generally in the early game against the cancerous bullshit that is ladder right now is going to involve being a lot of the Zooey type of stuff. So I thought it'd be a lot of the same type of games that I'd already seen, and that's why it's pretty much on the low priority list. I'll probably play this deck tomorrow. Also, I included Faceless Manipulator because I thought it'd just be pretty awesome to have 3 Mal'Ganises on the board. I mean, why not? That seems like a reasonable thing, right? Not going to rate this deck. I think it's going to be pretty good. Haven't seen anyone play it in ladder, but I'll check it out tomorrow. One deck that I had a lot of success with is the Mech Warlock. It's basically like a Zoo Warlock, but it has a lot of mech stuff, and it's a little bit slower, and I feel has a few different kind of tempo swings. So it's basically very, very similar to the existing Zoo Warlock pre-GvG, but it just has different substitutions for stuff. So instead of like death rattles, that kind of stuff, you just have minions that are just kind of annoying to deal with. Okay, they also have death rattle. So you still got like harvest golems, you still have stuff like Paladin shredders, which are pretty much like the upgraded death rattle creature. But there are some notable cards here. Notably, I have the, which is one? Tinkertown Technician. So this is a very powerful card. If you have a lot of mechs, this is basically going to be a 3 for a 4/4 and you get a spare part. It's not a mech, however, but it's still very, very strong. I also included one of Enhanso Meccano. This card seemed to carry very, very hard, and I actually considered playing two. It's very powerful if you have a lot of early game or if you can pop a lot of creatures on the same turn. If you can hit 2 creatures with its battle cry, I think it's worth it. And if you hit more than that, it really gets out of control. I included Fel Cannon because most of the deck is mech, and Fel Cannon does a lot of work against other board control decks like Paladins, like Shamans, even the Hunter and the Zoo stuff. It did very strong. It's a very high priority target. I explained why it's a very good card, and in practice, it is. And I have a Mimiron's Head in there. I did not a single time spawn Voltron today. I mean, I played this deck a lot. I played like, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 games. I had a lot of opportunities. There'd be turns where I'd have like 5 mechs in play, like 2 of them with Divine Shields, 1 of them with like Taunt, and then no, never happened. It's just because like even at like rank 12 or something like that in ladder, people are playing decks that are pretty much net deck. Like most people, instead of like making their own like creation with these new cards, they take a deck that already existed, they swap out like 4 cards that they think are not as good as the 4 new better version in Goblin versus Gnomes, and they run with that. So these type of decks are balanced enough that they have these kinds of swings. They have the removal to deal with bad situations. And Mimiron's Head puts pressure, puts that bad situation on the board, but it seems like they always deal with it. So Mimiron's Head, maybe it's worth it because it allows, it pretty much forces the opponent to play a certain way, but at the same time, I'm not so sure. I included Fel Reaver in the deck. Fel Reaver pretty much makes the deck. Just like Doomguard makes the Zoo Lock that you guys know so well, Fel Reaver makes the Mech Lock what it is. It doesn't really matter that you discard like 10 or 15 or the rest of your deck. It doesn't matter because when you play it, you're pretty much going to win the game in a turn or 2. So because of that, I mean, think about it. The most it's going to cost you is 2 draws. And if it costs you 2 draws, it's basically a Doomguard. So it's just kind of like a different way of looking at it. And this has some synergy with a lot of other stuff, but it takes a little bit to work with it. I included the Piloted Sky Golems again. I think they're pretty good in this deck. Piloted Sky Golems is a card where it's really good if you're ahead, and this type of deck you usually are ahead, and pretty crappy if you're not ahead, at least in this deck, but not so much in the Hunter, which I'll show you guys in a second. And Sneeze Old Shredder, again, I think if I would sub 1 card out, it'd probably be this one. It's a very good card on its own, but it doesn't really fit the deck. 8 mana is just a lot, and even when it sees play, it's pretty much not going to die. Its battle cry is not going to trigger. So if you don't think, its death rattle is not going to trigger. So if you don't think you can play this on 8 and then trigger its death rattle, it's a card that's probably not worth putting in your deck. But it's still okay. The Mech Lock, I'd say, is very close to what I would see as a fine-tuned deck. I did overdo it with the mechs, and there's probably some kind of balance between like better just neutral or zoo-y creatures than full mech. And I think this type of deck will actually be very, very popular. I'd give this deck a 9 out of 10 on the deck rating meter here. And then I have the Feign Death Hunter deck. Now, I do want to say that I did mention already that I think Hunter's the most powerful class after Goblin versus Gnomes. And the reason that is because they actually have the most powerful card. And I did say that Feign Death is probably going to be a good card, but it's a little bit more of a win more card in most situations. But as it turns out, if you build around the card, it is mental. Like, the card is so insane. The games that I'm going to include in the video that I'm going to show you guys in this video are going to highlight this. You guys will see just how ridiculous this card is. It combos with Explosive Sheep, for instance. You can Sheep Feign Death, and that does 4 damage to the board, but it does it in 2 intervals, so it basically wipes out all the garbage death rattles, does all that kind of stuff. And with Baron Rivendare, you know, it's a little bit of a questionable pick, but it worked out for me. I included a Cult Master just to have a little bit of draw, and pretty much just included every other death rattle minion in the game. In this deck, however, Sneed's Old Shredder is insane, as is Sylvanas, as is Highmane, as is Piloted Sky Golem, as is just about every other card in the deck when combined with, you guessed it, Feign Death. Now, I'm sure, because I didn't fine-tune this deck at all, there's going to be a much better version of it sometime. But I did win most of my games with this deck, and the only real trouble that I had was against other Hunter decks that haven't made the switch, like the classic Death Rattle Hunter, because that Hunter has a bit more early game. They also have Unleash the Hounds, and they have Flare. And that just kind of counters this type of deck. I think I lost most of my games against that type of Hunter, but beat everything else quite decisively in general. Overall, it's been a blast. I still have to try a lot more decks. One thing that I promised Chad I'd try tomorrow is going to be Murloc Shaman. I ended up playing 3 Murloc Shamans today. Every single one of them had that, I think it's called a Murloc Tidecaller opener. And oh man, it got really crazy. I actually lost, I almost lost 3 games just to the opener, but I actually ended up winning one of them because the Hunter Feign Death combo was pretty insane. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that kind of stuff. I'm going to try a few other decks. In a few days, I'll probably get into the arena groove again. I do get pretty bored of Constructed pretty quickly, but right now, it's as exciting as it gets. If I love it, you're going to love it. So check it out, play it out. Hope you guys enjoy the highlights. Again, if you guys want to see me open packs, that kind of stuff, it's in the description. All the good stuff's there. And yeah. The more I play, the more I explore, the more I find out about Goblin vs. Gnomes. I'll let you guys know about it. Hope you guys enjoy these type of videos, and I'll see you guys. Alright, I'm gonna buy 60 more.
Wait, Runny is approved.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god.
I don't know. I can
Hold on.
I locked her in the bathroom. It's fine. Like, it doesn't matter.
Alright, one second.
Hold on to your butt.
Let me check my bank account.
Oh shit! Did I buy classic packs?
Yes!
No, I'm not a fucking idiot. No, I didn't get classic packs.
Oh.
I had to do it. I had to do it.
Okay.
Motherfucker.
Alright.
Dude, I'm so broke.
Alright, let's do it.
Come on. Oh! Oh god.
I don't like the way I said that.
Oh good god. Good god. Come on, one time deck, try it.
Try it.
Ah, shit deck.
Your Feign Death.
Yeah. Alright, what do these little fucks do? Oh, okay.
Let the pain speak to me. Let the pain speak to me. I'll show them. I'll show them all.
I see the combo.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. I did that in fucking
You did
in
what?
my arena run. Oh, what the hell? What the fuck is that?
Combo! What? The fuck are the odds of that?
Oh my god.
Frozen! Please!
Oh no.
Please!
What do I do?
The end is coming! Oh, goody.
Coin Doomsayer. Are you serious? Okay. This is actually a deck I wanted to make. I wanted to make a mage deck that perpetually clears the board.
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
Got a tiger. That has to be a freeze because I only have one explosive trap in the deck.
I am ready.
Right now it probably looks like I'm that nerd who just is playing the same hunter deck still.
Mind if I roll knee? Mind if I roll knee?
This is a pretty bad flame strike. Why can't I catch a break? Okay, I just gotta dodge polymorph. Perfect.
I have no time for games.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's fucking retarded.
Well played.
Feign death is fucking retarded. Two mana spawn Leroy, cast Sludge Belcher, instantly kill opponent's Sludge Belcher. I'll keep Harvest Golem. I have too many sixes. I shouldn't be mulligan at Harvest Golems. It's a pretty slow hand though. I really need a 1-drop or a bow. Feign Death, you kind of need to be in a decent situation. You can't be like way behind and have it work too well.
Mind if I roll me?
It's explosive.
Hey, give me that!
Dumb. Now because I'm a hunter, you can't tap too much.
That belongs in a museum.
Unless you draw Harrison Jones, I guess, then you're in good shape. Fuck. Who runs Harrison Jones and Handlock? Okay.
Truth is my shield.
Right now I'm worrying.
Join or die. What those? I'll show them. I'll show them all.
Well, no Feign Death yet. I think he's looking for Hellfire. Siphon Soul. That has to be freeze, right? Okay.
Truth is my shield.
Okay.
Shields up.
Wow. Okay.
That was a mistake.
Okay. You really need Feign Death. 10 cards left, 2 Feign Deaths, right? He's played out both Siphon Souls.
I have no time for games.
Mind if I roll need?
I'm dead to Hellfire or Dark Bomb Hellfire. So I'm not in very good shape right now. I didn't miss 3 damage. I don't want him to get really easy Moltens.
Let none survive.
I don't really want to trigger my death rattles yet. Actually, I do want to trigger the draw one. The draw one is not useful. Okay. Let's go Sky Golem. I have to sack this first. Otherwise it won't work.
Pay attention, class.
Molten Giant Shadow Flame. Wow. Well, he's used one Molten Giant. I'm gonna go for it. He needs another Molten Giant Shadow Flame, and if he has that, he loses to the High Main Hyenas. So I don't think there's any way out here except for killing me with Hellfire. Molten Giant again. Heal. Argus. Ouch. I think this will work. Should be 4 damage. Bam!